Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Sunday evening for a Cryptocurrently episode of Correcting Cryptocurrency. Hope you guys are doing fantastic wherever you do happen to be tuning in from. Of course, I am your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor here at Kraken Cryptocurrency. Got a special show for you guys tonight. It's going to be a little less on the TA. We are going to talk about, in general, the cryptocurrency markets, but I do have a special guest for tonight's episode. It is a crypto currently. So once in a while, we do like to take the opportunity to talk with good friends and up-and-comers in the cryptocurrency space. Just get an opportunity to kind of relax and talk about stuff that we don't often talk about. So you guys know kind of how I feel about fundamentals and news when it pertains to trading. I think that generally those are topics and those are strategies that are generally best avoided if you want to maintain your sanity. But as a believer in cryptocurrency and in Bitcoin particularly, I do find it interesting and of course pertinent talk about some of the pressing issues and talk to some good friends of mine in the cryptocurrency space. So today we're going to be joined from Gabriel from X42 Protocol. You guys know we did a X42 giveaway not too long ago, gave away about 5,000 X42. You need 1,000 X42 to run a masternode, so we gave away enough, and X42 was generous enough to donate that for the giveaway to give away 5 masternodes worth of X42. So today we're going to be joined by Gabe. We're going to talk about X42 Protocol. We're going to talk about what's going on in the cryptocurrency markets, kind of what we see for the future. We're going to speculate on some news, and we're gonna have a good time, man. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comment section down below. Not in the comment section, but in the chat, and we'll answer them. We'll get to them. Give me 1 second to get everything pulled up here, and we're gonna go to the live control room over here and pull up the chat, and we'll make sure we get the Twitch chat popped open right over here. Okay, that's good. That's live, and the only other thing is stream label. All right, cool. Get that booted up and we'll be good to go, guys. And there's the chat. All right, we'll pop that YouTube chat out. Let me say hi to all the regulars, guys. I see you in there, man. It is wonderful, of course, to see you. I do got to give a shout out, Crypto Minati, and of course, Sad Joker. Thanks so much for the follows and the subscriptions on Twitch, man. Thank you so much. Eric Yaris, Bernardo Patricio, Todd, Bronesies with Attitude, Nick Ivanov, Tristan Buist, Ian Valentine, Bad Andy, Jay Constant, Yassine. That's a long last name, but that's an awesome name, my friend. And Keel Wilson. Ipij, where is a good place to buy X42? Well, I'll tell you what, I will let Gabe answer that. So without further ado, let's hop over here to the live scene and bring Gabe on. Gabe, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, Justin, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you, man. It's not been a while since we talked, because we do talk in the Discord, but it's been a while since I've been able to see your face and hear your voice, man. How are you?
Yeah, definitely. Since we decided to drop the anonymity, at least myself and Mike, it has been quite interesting, to be honest.
I can imagine, man. That's one of those steps, kind of going from, you know, the core and the fundamental of cryptocurrency: anonymity, security, verifiable trust, and then stepping into the public light, which is, you know, inherently a danger, but also exciting, especially to put a public face on a project.
Yeah, most definitely. But, well, you know that you've been out there for a while, right?
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, that's kind of the thing, man. A lot of these technical analysts, a lot of these traders, you know, they hide behind some, you know, kind of, you know, interesting moniker, you know, like, you know, I'm not going to cast dispersions or anything out there, man. I'm just saying, you know, there's very few traders and people who do what I do who are out there with their face. I think that's one of the big distinctions, and you guys obviously as well. So.
Well, we started as an anonymous team and changed from there. By the way, guys, I'm not sure if you know this, whoever's watching, but I'm not from the United States. I'm not an English speaker, native English speaker. So apologies for any accent or something else.
I think you're doing quite well, man.
Yeah. So about exchanges, people just asked. We are currently trading about, I think, a dozen exchanges or so, but the biggest one is Stacks. You can find us at stacks.com, and we are also on RaviX and HotX. Those are the ones that I remember off the top of my head. And there's a fairly decent volume, actually. Since the last time we talked, it grew a lot.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad. Let me get some of these while we're talking here. I'll try to get some good information here pulled up so we can just display it kind of in the background. So let's start off with, tell me about yourself, introduce yourself to our audience, kind of tell us what your background is, what's your role with X42, why obviously were you one of the ones that decided to step forward and kind of drop the mask of anonymity, if so to speak. Yeah, we'll just start there, man. Tell us about yourself.
Of course, my name is Gabriel. I'm 30 years old. I was born in Brazil. I moved around a little bit. I lived in Europe. I just been to Sweden and back to Brazil. I am a biomedical scientist. What else? I went to a British school. And X42 is actually a very, very long-term dream of mine. Something that I've been thinking about since 2006, believe it or not. There wasn't even cryptocurrency back then. But I'm not a technical person. I'm the CEO of the project nowadays. I'm joined by Mike 500 and Dennis and Pixel on the core dev team. But we have around 25 people working with us nowadays. We've been working side by side in some aspects of code with Stratis, which is our base code. They helped us a lot, which I'm very thankful for. I'm not sure. What else? What else do you want to know, Justin?
Oh, sure, man. That's a pretty good, that's interesting, man. So, for somebody like me, and I've been around, but I haven't traveled extensively outside of the United States. I've been outside of the United States. So that's, I'm not, what's the word for that? Cosmopolitan? I guess, cosmopolitan to me is going down to Louisiana, but I digress, man. That's interesting, man. It's always interesting to hear of somebody who's come from, a different background, different circumstances than me. And it's that fascinates me, is just seeing, what situations did other people come from and what led them to I'm always interested in, you're going to find people who strive for success and strive to do things better than other people around them, regardless of where you come from, regardless of what environment you grow up in, and kind of regardless of a lot of things, nationality definitely being not one of those things. So it's definitely interesting, man. My hat's off to you, brother. Okay. Interesting background. Tell us about, X42, man. You said this was an idea that you've had since 2006. You're the CEO of the company. So what was that idea that you've had since 2006? What is that you wanted to accomplish with X42? What is it that you are accomplishing with X42? And what is it that you wanted to do? Just tell us about X42, man.
Okay, this might be a little long-winded. I hope you don't mind.
It's all right, dude. We've got a 2-hour-long show.
Sounds good. So basically, in 2006, I read a book, a really good book by an author that I actually talked to him several times after that. It is called Demon, D-E-A-M-O-N, by Daniel Suarez. And in that book, a type of network is created, which has its own currency, its own system, a governance system, you could call it. And that system changes the world. Sometimes not in a good manner, but in a very different direction than what we see nowadays. I personally don't believe much in someone telling me what to do, what's best for me. I believe I know what's best for me. And I wanted a way for people to take care of themselves, to be able to... sorry about the noise. My dog's here.
No, it's cool.
Yeah. So this system in this book allows for complete freedom, and I really mean complete freedom. And I wanted to create something similar. But one thing that I learned very early on with cryptocurrency, I've been using cryptocurrency since 2010. Sorry. Actually was active back when Satoshi Nakamoto was active. So I know a little bit about basically everything that happened in crypto, even though I'm not a technical person per se, but the history of cryptocurrency is my history as well. I've been involved with a lot of projects. I helped several people, several programmers, several people with ideas, people that want to change something for the better. And I believe that's what X42 is for. to make something better than what we have nowadays. For instance, people always ask me, do you want to create the next Bitcoin? No, I don't. We at X42, we don't want to be the next Bitcoin. That was never the intent. That was never the idea. We actually want to create something completely new. What do I mean by that? I want to create a system in which people are completely responsible for their activities, for their actions, and for what they say. And at the same time, I want to give them complete freedom over everything else. I know it's a very tall order, something that doesn't sound possible, but actually it is. We have a really, really solid idea on how to do that. And for the first time ever, today I'm actually going to talk in depth about what X42 is going to become.
Awesome, man. I mean, that's something that I'm fond of saying, and hopefully I can pull this analogy back to what you were just saying, my friend, is the reason that I started trading in the first place back in 2008 was because I realized that nobody cared about my financial future or my financial independence more than me. There was no option or solution out there that was going to provide for my family the way that I wanted to provide for my family. And there was nobody out there, no matter how altruistic or no matter how benevolent, that would be able to help me out better than me taking responsibility for myself. That's why I began trading. I never began trading to become wealthy, although trading has been financially a boon for myself and my family. But trading was always, in my mind, a way to obtain freedom, a way to maintain my own investments, to maintain my own portfolio that I could retire on, and also give me a bundle of wealth to pass forward onto my future. So I completely understand where you're coming from in wanting to take the reins by yourself and build something better than the people that are there around you. And again, there are people who do, and there are people who follow. So as somebody who does, definitely in the same corner with you, my friend.
Yes, I've heard several times that what we want to do is impossible, that we cannot do it, that's not viable, well, anything that you think. People could say to me, they said it so far. Pretty much everything, to be honest. I've been always called a dreamer all my life. I felt like I never fit anywhere. And I believe that the same for you, right? Like, it's not enough. That there has to be something better, that you have to create something better. You have to do something better with yourself. And like you said, no one will take care of you. I'm not talking only about money here. I'm talking about everything else. Than you. And people do not seem to grasp that for some reason. I'm not sure why. It makes no sense to me.
Well, I think that there's probably a big part of, and again, I have to speak biased, coming from America like I do, but the great epidemic of the snowflake generation, I think, is a big problem. People have been taught that, Big Daddy government or, Big Daddy corporation is going to take care of you. Don't worry. Don't ask any questions. Don't ruffle any feathers. Definitely don't get out there on your own. And now that it's, I see people would make the argument that now it's all entrepreneurial and there's this huge push. Yes, I guess if you do live in certain areas of the world, but even then, it's not really. People think that these technologies are really disruptive, man. But what we've seen is a lot of these previous disruptive technologies, they have a shelf life where they become disruptive technologies and then they become part of the old banner guard. They become part of the old standard. And they actually look to suppress innovation moving forward. They actually look to suppress entrepreneurship, in my opinion. The big data corporations and companies, it's, there's lots of technical innovations that are being pushed forward. But as far as human liberty, human freedom, or, just overall human happiness, I think there's an important question to ask, whether or not they're actually facilitating that or contributing to the next. I do have a question here for you, my good friend, from Bernardo Patricio. Ask, is X42 a project to compete against or cooperate with major cryptos?
To cooperate, for sure. I don't believe in the idea of competition between cryptocurrency. It makes no sense to me. I believe people have to help each other. if we want to create something better than what there is at the moment, we have to help each other. So much so, we've been talking a lot with Stratis. We've been sharing code with them. We've been helping each other. I don't get why cryptocurrency fight among themselves. It makes no sense to me. We have the same enemy, if you think about it. Mm-hmm. People don't see it like that, but we have the same enemy. We want to create something new. I can say that for myself, and I know that might not sound true, but it honestly is. I'm not in this for the money. I never was. My idea with X42 was not to get rich or anything else. You can look back here. This is my room. Man, I don't need more than this. I just want to create something better, like way better. And I don't even have children yet, but I know that you do, Justin. I want to live a better world to them. As odd as that might sound.
No, that's cool, dude. I mean, my kids definitely appreciate it. I think that, you know, I'll take it upon myself to make sure that they have enough cryptocurrency and gold and silver, as well as anything else that might be valuable enough to get them through, as well as kind of the hard knocks life, you know, education that I do give my children. You know, my boy is my boy's working on Kant right now. He's 9 years old, but I digress. I think they'll be well partitioned. But yes, anything that can give us a better system. So what's you know, to get a little bit more, to dive a little bit more deeply into this, you know, can we like, what specifically is it? Like, give me a use case, give me a function of what you said. You said you don't want X42 to be the next Bitcoin. What do you see? Well, so then what does X42 do? What, you know, practically, like if I wanted to utilize X42 to improve the quality of my life right now, how would I utilize it and what could it do for me?
Okay, I'm going to divide this in 3 categories. I'm going to talk about what we've done already, what we've been working on, and where I see X42 going, all right?
Sure.
So what have we done so far? We use Stratis as our code base. So we basically took the code from Stratis. Of course, we use GitHub, pulled for them and gave them all the credit, of course. We took pieces and parts from other good projects. People that really want to change, want to create a better economical system for mankind, for humankind, I should say. And we created what we see as a superior cryptocurrency on top of that. So X42 is not written in C++. It's a C# cryptocurrency, which means in practical terms that it's much better to develop in several means. You could think as train wagons, and X42 works with several of those wagons. You can pull them and add as you wish, basically. It's much more modular than most cryptocurrencies. So much so that we've been using our testnet to test our masternodes right now. Mm-hmm. They are working. They are on testnet. They are just not on the mainnet yet.
Okay.
So X42 is a proof of stake. That means that when you hold a cryptocurrency in your wallet, for the new viewers here, you can actually have passive income in X42 just for keeping your wallet open. You don't have to have mining hardware. You don't have to have basically ASICs hardware, which is really expensive and really wasteful. You just have to keep your wallet open in any PC. Basically, if you have over 2 gigs of RAM and a single core processor, you'll be fine. You can run the wallet, no problem. What does the network get from that? Part of that processing power is used to sign all activities in the network. That does not mean only transactions. You can sign smart contracts. You can help side blockchains. You can help the master nodes. You can help basically the entire network just by keeping the wallet on. And with the master nodes, which is what we are working right now, our idea is to create the largest decentralized computer in the history of mankind. And that's not something that you can say lightly at all.
Sure. So would I be remiss or would I be mistaken if I said that regardless of the previous keeping in mind the previous statement and Bernardo's question about, you know, is X42 here to cooperate or compete? How would, okay, so proof of stake coins are not, you know, the fact that X42 is a proof of stake is not unique in and of itself. There's lots of proof of stake coins out there. What's the difference in my mind between X42 and Ethereum, for example? Because you've mentioned smart contracts, you've mentioned modularity, making it so, and by that I assume you mean making it easier for developers, you know, who want to develop decentralized applications or to write decentralized smart contracts and things of that nature, to make it easier for them to do that. So what's the defining factor between X42 and Ethereum, for example?
Well, for one, X42, the way we made the coin, the way we developed it, and the way that we actually got into the hands of users is very different from most cryptocurrency. I'm not sure about Ethereum specifically because I don't remember, it's been so long. But we developed a proof of stake feeless cryptocurrency. That's a very different trait right there that I actually forgot to mention before. But X42 is a proof of stake feeless cryptocurrency. It's almost instant. And you send 10, you get 10. That's very different from most cryptocurrencies out there. We believe that the idea of a decentralized application does not work with fees. So we found a way around it. We found a way to. Have you ever, Justin? Have you ever played CryptoKitties?
I'll be honest with you. I loaded up the website, like this must have been last year, and I looked at it, and I had MetaMask, but no, I never, so I'll bear with me.
Yeah, of course. Something about let's use that as our starting point.
Sure, I understand what it is and how it works, but I've just never gotten my hands dirty with it myself.
Yeah,
I hate cats. Kind of a dog guy.
I like dogs as well, but I like cats as well. So, CryptoKitties was a failure in many aspects. It was very slow. It was a DApp on the Ethereum blockchain, but it didn't fulfill what they really wanted, because the way they were using processing and the fees on the network, they took a while to actually confirm what was going on. The way X42 goes around that is that we actually create side blockchains. By the way, that's not implemented yet, okay? We are working on this right now on our test network. You create a side blockchain, and in that side blockchain, anything and everything can be processed. Let's use the example of CryptoKitties. You can put that there and charge absolutely no fees, right? Let's say you create an account, you pay X amount, and then you pay no fees after that, or even free, completely free. The thing is, all side blockchains are scalable. You can choose it to scalable to scale anywhere from, let's say, 1 transaction per second to literally millions of transactions per second. So you can send commands between the side blockchains without touching the main chain. So anyone that wants to process that can. So and the way we reward people for that is that if you host a masternode, you can choose what you host on it. Let's say, for instance, that you are a programmer, Justin, and you create some projects that people like, and they can choose to take your project and host it on the masternode. And for that, you can be paid or pay. Let's say, for instance, that you want to process a very large video, let's say a Pixar movie or something like that. You can actually rent out processing power from the network to do whatever you want, as long as there's a DApp for that. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Sure. I mean, so the big things there for me, obviously, are well, the Feeless, and I'd actually like to delve a little bit more into that because that was one of the things that really interests me. When because just disclaimer, I hold X42, and I also stake it. I do have the wallet open. I've got my old laptop over here that I actually used to stake several coins, but whenever I've used X42 to send anything, I mean, it's just like that, I mean, just it's there, like, and that's actually kind of funny, because I'll be like, all right, are you guys ready? I'm going to send it to you, and I'm like, yeah, click, and they see it like within like a millisecond,
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost anything to send. Now that's fantastic and amazing and kind of exciting. That the only things that I do have to ask, because I'd be remiss if I didn't, is how do you juxtapose that? Like, how does that not affect the security of the network? How do you incentivize people to stake? Like, I guess my question is, if you're not charging fees, the staking is just coming from the rewards of new X42 being created. Is that correct?
Yes.
So they're getting basically the block reward, right, for staking, and masternodes would receive
20,
more.
Which is 20 at the moment.
Right. Now, what happens when there's a hard cap for X42, correct?
Yes, there's a hard cap. That's another difference between most proof of stake coins. We actually have a hard cap, which is 42 million.
Okay. Yeah, Ethereum has the difficulty bomb, which I think is one of the biggest problems that Ethereum is going to have moving forward. But so how do you incentivize individuals to secure the network when all the block rewards have been used?
Of course, for one, only masternodes will be able to host DApps and side blockchains and other things. As long as there's just one masternode open, the network will be secure. Of course, I get why most people are preoccupied, but I would highly advise those people to actually look at our code. We are constantly updating, we're constantly upgrading, and security fixes. I believe like 2 days ago, there was a security fix on the network. But the way you actually secure the network on the long term is something that we've been discussing a lot, because the last coin for X42 would be minted in about 8 years. And this is news. Most people, actually, I believe 3 people know this. But we'll change this very soon. That period is going to be much, much longer. Probably in the hundreds of years, probably. We don't know yet. On the next patch, we will actually change the staking rewards and the staking time to make sure the security is addressed properly, like you said. So to add an extra layer, just make sure. One of the things that I hear from people that understand a bit more about cryptocurrency is exactly the security of proof of stake cryptocurrency. But from the start, we didn't want to run a proof of work network. Why is that? We believe it to be very, very wasteful and not necessary nowadays. There are many, many more options for you to actually secure a network without having to waste electricity and other things. I know that X42 requires machines to be online, but that processing power is actually being used for something. It's not being wasted. And with that in mind, we will always be here to secure the network, to update it. But I'm not saying trust us. I'm saying go to our GitHub, get involved, and make sure to add processing power to the network if you believe in what we are doing.
Well, the Bronzes with Attitude says, will the total supply change with those changes that you just mentioned?
No. Just the time that the total supply will be reached.
Okay.
The total supply will not change. Just the staking rewards and how often they quarter or they half. That's it.
So, in just to okay, so let's take a brief divergence from that, and let's get back to what you were saying when you were saying you're going to divide what we're talking about with X42 into 3 categories. What we've done, And then what we're doing, I think you've touched on that, but if you want to elucidate on that a little bit more, I think that'd be good.
Of course, the supercomputer part that I've been talking about, the decentralized supercomputer, is what we are working right now on our test network. The masternode system, which by the way is a tiered masternode system, we have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Each of those tiers actually do something different than the other. So there's an extra layer of security for you. Is not on the main network yet. The code is 100% new. It is not something that we copied from any other project or anything like that. We actually written every single line of that code, which is just amazing. To create something new in cryptocurrency nowadays, it's wow. I've seen how much they've been working on this. It's just staggering.
I can tell you from personal experience, because just to be upfront, I mean, we get a lot of emails for people that ask us to review their projects, ask us to sponsor their whatever, and we pretty much blanket say no to everything, because if we don't use it and we don't like it and we don't know the people, like, we're not Superman, we're not Ian Bellina, we're not out here shilling, IEOs, for example, because it's just not what we do. I don't think that's congruent to what we stand for here at Kraken Cryptocurrency, if we're really trying to help most people actually learn how to trade profitably, and actually trying to be supportive of projects and innovations that will actually move cryptocurrency forward. So I can tell you that I've seen lots, and again, I'm not a programmer, but I've seen lots and lots and lots of projects that are just cheap knockoffs and ripoffs of something, that is something else, that doesn't offer any true innovation, that isn't really fantastic, that, is a lot of smoke and mirror, magical stuff, Justin Sun. And, it's just kind of like, so anyways, I appreciate where you're coming from, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to be absolutely clear to everyone that's watching, Justin, I haven't paid you anything for this.
No.
You haven't paid me anything for this.
No.
We are just partners. We believe in the same thing. And guys, if you even think we are here to shill a coin, to sell it, X42 is not about games. It's not about making money. So if you want to make money, I would advise other projects, stay away from us.
What's that? I think that's like old Bitcoin, what is that? Like old Bitcoin philosophy. It's like, hey man, like Bitcoin could be worth a whole lot of money one day. You should totally not buy any.
Yeah,
man, I think that's what they used to say back on bitcointalk.org.
Yeah, we just want to be left alone and work,
Yeah. Cool, man. So, I get the goal, and that's kind of why I brought up the Ethereum concept, is because Ethereum's idea was to be like the world supercomputer, but I again, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this because I'm just not really a big fan of Ethereum. I think they've got fundamental flaws. I think a lot of those fundamental flaws were really brought to the light with the Constantinople hard fork. I will say, I think it probably goes to 1500 before it goes to zero, but I think that just speaking broadly, but I do think that, and let me tell you a dirty secret here, Gabe. I am kind of I'm kind of a proof of work biased guy. All right. And so maybe that's something, this isn't the best format for this, but I'm hoping that maybe you can give me a good argument that will change my mind, because I get the proof of stake argument. I really do. But and again, I'm just trying to work through this in my head, because again, I'm not a programmer, but I just trust the people in my life that I know to be far more intelligent than me when it comes to things that I don't know a whole lot about, or that I'm not as skilled at them as. So you fall into that category, actually. So, it's one of those things that I've always kind of understood and just kind of held on to, that proof of work is just fundamentally more secure for a network than proof of stake, because proof of stake is not government hard. Am I wrong in that? Or are you just designing a different system and you're not necessarily trying to build something that is government hard? Because again, you talked about, your currency or not your currency, but your project being cooperative with other projects. Your goal is to be a supercomputer, not a currency.
Okay. I'll give you a simple answer, then a more complex one. for people that know about X42 that been to our Discord and seen what we've done, we have a Dennis. So our CTO.
Did you say a dentist? Because I have this tooth popping out of my head, dude.
Yeah, we have a dentist.
Okay, dentist.
Gotcha. CTO. Yeah. The guy is insane. I don't know a better way to explain it. But taking him off the picture, which is not going to happen.
Okay.
Which is not going to happen. We are in this for the long run. And we have many other very talented programmers working with us. But without taking that into account, proof of work is not sustainable. It's that simple. Let's say, for instance, that actually, I'll ask you a question, and I believe that question is going to answer you. Will give you the picture that I'm trying to explain.
Sure.
What would happen, Justin, if Bitcoin no longer gave rewards to the network, block rewards?
Okay, so I think it seems like the easiest answer would be if Bitcoin no longer paid rewards, then it probably wouldn't be mined, right? Or you see a significant drop off in mining because there wouldn't be a financial incentive to mine the coin. There would be an incentive, obviously, to process transaction fees. And so I think you would likely see one of two scenarios. You'd either see, you'd really see three. So, because you're going to give me a challenging question. I'm going to give you a challenging answer. Because here's the beauty of cryptocurrency. You would most likely see a hard fork immediately because the majority of miners would say, forget this, we want block rewards. We're hard forking over to another chain that pays block rewards. And all you plebs can stay over there and battle over transaction fees. And I would imagine that if you got the right people over to that hard fork, because again, there's a lot to be said for publicity, man. You know, look what Roger Ver did for Mt. Gox. Let me give you a preview. My name is Roger Ver. I am totally not reading off a card. I am here to tell you that Mt. Gox is 100% solvent. Deposit funds now. So you get the right marketing, or you get the right people, or it's not even marketing. You just get the right people that are good, trustworthy people to say, hey guys, we're moving over to this other fork of the chain. It's better for the world. It's better for the network. It's better for Bitcoin. I don't know what those guys over here did, but they really fouled things up. So we're going over here. So you'd probably see an immediate hard fork, and most of the network would. You'd have Andreas Antonopoulos and Saifedean out there. You'd have CNBC saying abort, pull up. Of course you'd have CNBC out there saying like the death of Bitcoin. You'd have Andreas Antonopoulos out there talking about I don't want to do an Andreas Antonopoulos meme because I really respect the guy, but he'd be like, well, listen, guys, the thing that we can totally do is we could just switch over to this other chain, But so you'd see the hard fork immediately. But okay, let's take that answer off the table. But I would like to hear your thoughts on that. The second thing is you would naturally, on the chain that did remove the block rewards, is that you would see miners, I would assume, drop off. Or you would see, either way, you'd see miners drop off, but you'd either see enhanced competition for the remaining transaction fees, which probably aren't lucrative enough to keep most miners in the game, or you would see a dramatic rise in transaction fees because miners would jack them up. They'd either hard fork the code for dramatic transaction fees, or they would mine differently. You'd see lower network activity. So probably not the answer you were looking for, but take that. Back at you.
Actually, that is a very well-informed answer, to be honest. You're right. People would fly away from it. Why? Because that processing power is not being used for something. In the case of X42 specifically, that processing power is going to add to something else. So let's say you have a DApp let's say a game, an MMORPG. Okay, you could run an MMORPG on X42. Right now, it would be a little weird, but down the line, let's say a year or two from now, it would run perfect. The thing is, as long as there is DApps, smart contracts, or anything else in the network, the block reward is meaningless, basically, because the majority of the rewards will go to the people that are actually hosting and adding security and processing power to the network. The idea of proof of work wastes that completely. They use basically to secure the network. Yeah, of course, Bitcoin is the most secure network by a very long shot. But at the same time, that processing power is not being used. Not as well as it could be used, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, the argument would be, right, because, okay, so I can kind of bridge both gaps, because I totally understand where you're coming from, and that there, you know, because I'm a practical person myself. So the argument is, you know, there's real world problems. There's like protein folding. There's computer algos that could be run. There's all kinds of stuff that could be used to enhance the quality of life, or science, or mathematics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that could be used with this processing power. I mean, the Bitcoin blockchain, Bitcoin mining does represent the world's largest supercomputer by aggregate. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes. And we could be using this processing power to really push forward the future of humanity. The argument, of course, as you know, as a Bitcoin enthusiast, is that, listen, man, that's all well and good, but the biggest problem that humanity has always faced is our own capacity to cannibalize ourselves. You know, every society has failed throughout human history, and every society has eventually developed a form of currency, trade, or barter, and a global currency that is not owned by any nation has never been seen and has never been globally implemented. So it is going to take the biggest expenditure of human resources and human energy that we have available to us to secure that one fundamental thing that, in the words of Tenacious D, can lead us to the new light.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's possible, but at the same time, I don't believe X42 is that currency.
Right. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to say. So I do agree with you, but would Bitcoin be able to be? And I'll get to Tristan. Tristan has some good questions here. But would I be able to use Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency to interact with X42? Or is that something that might be planned for the future? Because again, you talked about the cooperation, communication, you know, so basically, like, let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's say Bitcoin doesn't branch off and create side chains and third tier solutions and second tier solutions, or effective ones, or that they're not as effective as something like X42. Would, assuming that I have, you know, like my currency in Bitcoin, and I'm paying my bills with Bitcoin, and, you know, I'm getting wealthy with Bitcoin or whatever, you know, paying for my kids to go to, you know, private college with Bitcoin. But we're using X42 to, you know, fold protein and do, you know, molecular compositions or digital algorithms or things of that nature, you know, to plot vectors for space satellites. Would there be an interaction there, or kind of like two separate functions or entities? And again, you know, forgive me because I'm dumb. So, you know what I mean?
No, man, you are the farthest thing from dumb possible. Believe me, you're a very smart person. I watch you, man. I'm silently watching you.
Don't tell anybody. I've got him convinced that I don't know what I'm doing.
No, you didn't. But either way, yeah, it's possible. The interaction is definitely possible. For all intents and purposes, Bitcoin is legacy code nowadays. If you think about it. When compared to projects like X42, EOS, Nano, or several others, even Ethereum to some extent. I'm not sure what the future of Bitcoin is right now. I could tell you that's my not so informed opinion in maybe a couple of years, but I believe that if some cryptocurrencies projects do not change their heading, they are not going to thrive anymore, even knowing that they've been thriving for a very, very long time. And the way X42 will interact with that is that anyone can create, and that goes into Tristan's questions actually, anyone can interact with the X42 network via DApps. Anyone will be able to launch the DApps. The thing is, if the DApps will be hosted or not, how useful they will be to the network. And there will be some, you could say, a reputation we have something that the work name is actually reputation system. It will change over time. That will oversee that entire project, that part of X42, which is actually the reason X42 was created, is to create that particular reputation system. But yeah, definitely, X42 could interact with other projects via atomic swaps, via maybe even smart contracts. Like I said, I'm not a technical person, I'm just a suit. But if anyone smarter than me gets into our code and decides to do something like that, yeah, I completely believe it's possible.
And then he also asked, what kind of DApps would Gabriel like to see on X42 in the future?
Oh, damn, that's an interesting question. There's a lot. There's stuff that we've been working on now.
If you say Pornhub, this interview might be over.
Why not? Why not?
It's all good, man. Bring it on.
We've been working on a very important project, which unfortunately I cannot disclose right now. But
dun.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much though. It's something that's going to be used potentially by every cryptocurrency out there. Okay? It's something that people have been craving for a very, very long time.
Stroganoff?
And there's nothing like it in the entire planet right now. Actually, that's the reason that our masternodes are still in the testnet. It's because of that, mainly.
So, all right. So we got to do some speculation. Airsoft X Unlimited and Matt A, thank you so much for the subscriptions on YouTube. Highly appreciated, my good friends. Welcome to the community. Let's see here. Okay, so it's something, and you know, I'm gonna shout out like 170 different random answers. You tell me when I get it. I'm just kidding. So we've got something that cryptocurrency needs, everybody wants, is not there yet, and we're craving it. Okay, so the first thing that came to my mind was beef stroganoff, but I'm hungry.
Beef stroganoff pretty good.
It's pretty good, dude. Especially the kind we make around here at the Wise household. Let me tell you, buddy. The second thing, I mean, you know, my mind wants to go toward, you know, funny things came to my mind. I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, you know, ETF confirmed, you know what I mean? Like, but I mean, what it clearly must be is that you did write the code in conjunction with the, you know, the cypherpunks and the crypto anarchists, man. Like you did write that, you know, acid bath code that you just plug in and, you know, governments just shut down, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it, dude. All right. Good looking out, man. I'll see you on the other side, brother.
Okay. I'll give you a tiny little bit of information, right, and that's all I'm saying. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Think about Gab.
Did you say Yelp?
Gab.
Yeah.
G-A-B.
Oh, like the Gap, like where you buy clothes?
No. Gab. G-A-B.
Okay. Talking. Or is this an app? Because again, I just tapped my head. You probably can't see me on your end. Don't worry. Google to the rescue. Oh, okay. Cool. Gotcha. It says here, yeah, it's an English language social media website that is known for its mainly far-right user base. I don't know if I mean, come on, dude. Like, you know, this was definitely some snowflakes that wrote this description, man.
Forget the politics part of it, okay? Forget the politics.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you, guys. Yeah, this is why, yeah, Scott, this is why I need to be listening to those tech podcasts so that I don't sound like a dum-dum.
Someone asked about decentralized exchanges. They are definitely possible.
You heard it here, guys. Dun, dun, dun. Damn, it's like I do this for a living, man. Woo! Hey, Google, remind me in 1 hour how good I am. Don't do that. Don't do that, Google. I don't have an iPhone. I'm Team Android. I'm just kidding, guys. Very, very humble. Please don't take that seriously. Hey, Google, remind me in 2 hours like how terrible I am at something so I can improve on it.
So yeah, other applications right now that I would love to see. We are still on the same question, and it's a very good question, actually. One of the things that I want to see the most, actually, that's what's going to test the network the most is decentralized game. I'm thinking something on the lines of a board game or a card game, think collectible card game, that you can actually change between exchange cards between X42 wallets by a smart contract or something else. I would love to see that. I would honestly love to see that. And if anyone listening right now or watching the podcast is developing a game and it's not ready and you would like to get it on the master on the X42 Masternode network, please contact us.
Talking about Pokemon TCG on X42.
Why not?
Hey, man. Listen, when I was young, I used to really be into Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not going to lie. That was my jam. Anybody out there knows about that Pikachu, man? That was my jam. Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the biggest, like let's just be, you know, honest about where we're at with the way that technology is progressing and the way that the youth, you know, like the next generation is moving towards. I mean, the online gaming, streaming, you know, digital community environment and marketplace and everything that comes along with that, just the, you know, the entire economy shifting into the digital world, is massive. I mean, you know, lots of aspects of the old world just don't get it and haven't caught up yet and are not. That's why we're going to be seeing, you know, lots of just new innovations, lots of all new, and we're already starting to see it. But I'm just saying that you guys, we're just getting started, man. You think that Walmart's going to be around in 20 years? You guys are crazy, dude. Like everything is going to change, man. You know, regular TV, analog, satellite, digital. Come on, dude. That's old, outdated technology even today, man. It's that there's gonna be new platforms, new companies that arise to meet the new needs. So, you know, decentralized gaming is a really cool topic for me because again, I don't play video games now. I don't really get the opportunity to play them. I used to love playing video games when I was young, but again, like the last video game that I played hardcore was like Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Like just gives you an idea of where I'm coming from. You know, I tried to play Soma like a week ago, and that's really good, but then I never found time to play it again, and I just listened to the plot synopsis on YouTube. Really good plot, by the way, guys. I don't know. I listened to it, but sounded really good. But decentralized games, I think, is important because, you know, the example that I've heard is, you know, if say you've got something like World of Warcraft, right? And somebody has put in lots of time and energy to fight and accomplish missions and achieve like this very rare item, okay? Well, who's to say that you have to trust the game developers and the server where the game is housed, is broadcasting from, that they don't just like print 7 of those and give them to their buddies? You know, like you spent months, you know, forming a party, doing these quests, blah, 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 blah. And you got this like rare opal blood sword of the Diamond Blood God, you know, like that's yours. You know, there's only one in the game. But you know, a game dev can just print out 7 of them. You know, that's why I think that having everything on a back-end blockchain that you can go in and see and be like, oh, okay, cool. The dev said there was only one, you know, blood-forged red ogre smashed, you know, painted tie-dye blood or death sword. Cool, and I have that. They didn't print out 7 of them for their buddies. Maybe I'm taking that the wrong way because, again, you could take it completely the other way. I took it like with game items and MMORPGs, but you could take it the other way with you know, with trusting the, you know, kind of what's going on in general in the back end, making sure that people are leveling up fairly, making sure that there's no malicious code being injected when I'm running your software, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you know, making sure that you know, keeping the development team accountable because they're parsing out updates and we're able to see those updates and actually every piece of the code that was updated. You know what I mean?
Yes, and another good advantage of having games on a blockchain is that you can actually attribute a set monetary value to an item in a game, for instance. You probably played Magic the Gathering. I believe you're about the same age, so.
I did play a little MTG, man, not going to lie.
Yes. Can you imagine if you had the equivalent of a Black Lotus in a game? let's say an MMORPG, and there's only one.
Right.
And that Black Lotus is actually linked to your X42 wallet, and it's going to be there forever. Only if you want to sell it, if you want to transfer it. You have complete control over everything, and you know that the network is not going down. As long as there's one computer running a masternode, the item is going to be there, the game is going to be there. It brings up some really interesting ideas, what is possible in a game. And actually, the book that I mentioned before, it has a lot to do with augmented reality, and that's where X42 is going. Our idea, and that's jumping into what's coming next, is to be able to first allow for people to make private transactions in the network. We are still figuring out how to do that. We had an idea to use a system that's already in place, but that system doesn't seem to be that good. So we're probably going to change direction on that. But X42 is going to have anonymous transactions eventually. And with that, anonymous transactions comes anonymous contracts. Think of it like this. Let's say you have a social network, right? And you, Justin, you're a fantastic TA. And you have a proven record that's on the blockchain, so people know that you're a great TA, and they want to hire your services. Let's say you write a bot in X42. That's a decentralized bot that anyone can purchase that bot from you, and it receives your trades directly from you, okay? That's income, all sides. That can be done for a game, that can be done for anything else, in a very interesting manner. So you have this social network atop of it that tells everyone how good you are at trade TA. And people can give you jobs via the network. And the payment for that job is actually locked in place before you even accept it. And a smart contract, when both sides sign it, you know that you're going to get paid if you do what you want to do. Can you imagine what that will do to the world in a governance line of thought? Think how free people would be if they could accept jobs from anyone from anywhere.
It'd be nice, man. It'd also be nice to be able to just be like, yeah, I'm pretty good at XYZ. Look, you know, and it's just verifiable, you know, it's on the dang chain.
Yeah. And we actually are working, we have a shackled AI that's going to be able to test people. So you're not just going to say, oh, I'm that good at something. You're going to be tested either by the community or by some other manner. And think of a ranking. What we want to create is actually the bastard child of LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook in a decentralized manner.
Okay.
That's what we're going for. But you'll be able to accept jobs inside the network itself.
Yeah, it would make things very nice because I can tell you, I mean, you know, we don't have a lot of, you know, you don't see a lot of interns running around here and, you know, using some of those like career, you know, using some of those like, you know, look at employee like track records. You're like, I don't know, like, you know, it's just kind of hit and miss, you know, like, you know, somebody's application could be really good. Somebody's credentials could be really good, but how do you know? You know what I mean? Like, because you're just trusting, basically you're trusting pieces of paper and referrals, you know? That's why, and this is just the reality of the situation, you know, and this is something that I do talk about, and this is more a lifestyle type thing, but if you're not good at talking to people and you're not good at just selling yourself as a human being, you're going to have less success in life. You know, you need the network. The reason why networking is important, because what I just said about like, how do I determine somebody's talents? Oh, well, they've got this degree and they have this license and they have this. None of that stuff means anything. I want to know for skill. And so when I have somebody that I trust come up and say to me, hey, man, this Gabe guy over here, he's smart, witty, pretty cool, man. You should listen to what he says. that's a better referral than, Gabe, if you had showed me, whatever your on paper qualifications could be, regardless of how impressive or unimpressive they are. I've just learned over time that that's a much better indicator. Just a personal reference is always going to be more strong than me, and I know every other business owner and individual out there, than it's going to be than any kind of credentials that you have, because credentials can be faked. Yeah, sure, you graduated from Harvard, but maybe you slept through your classes, and blah, 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 blah. You get my point.
Yeah, I actually completely agree. People do not seem to take into account what was actually done by that person, but what's on paper, especially here where I am right now, they don't care so much, and they should. A proven track record. Well, do you want something more proven than a blockchain? I mean, you cannot change that. It's going to be there. So when you start adding jobs and stuff that you've done in a blockchain, it's going to be saved there for life. And the idea of a completely trustless network that keeps a record of anyone who wants to take part in it. I've heard people compare what we want to create to China's social credit score, which is completely insane, by the way. That stuff is draconian. Inside this system that we are creating, our new white papers are going to have a lot more information on that. But you can actually improve over time. Let's say, Justin, that you speak Spanish and you're a trade analysis. You have 3 out of 5 stars in Spanish, given by the network, be that by people or by artificial intelligence or anything else that might be overseeing the network. A lot is going to happen, actually. We're still not completely sure where we're going, but the general direction is that one. Sure, so you have 5 out of 5 stars in trade analysis and 3 stars out of 5 in Spanish. Someone that gave you that score of 3 stars out of 5 in Spanish, if that person gives you another score, let's say 4 out of 5, your professor, for instance, it's going to overwrite the network score. The block is still going to be there, the block that saved 3 out of 5, but you're going to improve. So not only you can improve, but you can degrade your score. So that's going to put people in a situation that if they want to take part in this system, they are probably going to be on their best behavior. They are probably going to do their best in any situation. Let's say you're a great artist and you want to sell your art with a blockchain stamp, so you know it's not fake, it's not anything like that. That can always be traced back inside the blockchain. What we're trying to do is actually so large that sometimes it kind of boggles my mind still. It's doable, it's possible, the technology is in place. The only thing that we're still missing right now is the social network aspect of it. Everything else is here.
So we need that. Yeah, we need. So are you just talking, and you're talking something much more broadly than being able to send encrypted messages through X42? Although I assume that would be a good start, but
yeah.
But yeah, that would be. I really. I think you're talking about a lot of things the cryptocurrency needs, and what I can say is that if somebody's going to build and develop them, I trust somebody with your mentality rather than somebody like Vitalik, because I don't know where his head is, man. I just don't think Ethereum's going to be able to do a lot of stuff that they purport to do. But yes, I do agree, man. There's lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff that cryptocurrency can be doing. I mean, just coming back to the main thing that I think is stuck in my head and probably will be stuck in my head as I grind things over, is that concept that, of the scarcity of computing power and resources and the beneficial nature that it can be put to. When we were talking about the difference between proof of work and proof of stake for Bitcoin and X42 protocol. Definitely, man.
The way that processing power can be used is it's limitless. You can do anything that you want. Of course, you're going to need some programming knowledge, or you need to hire someone that has programming knowledge. But we are trying to make this as simple as possible for both sides. We chose a very easy language to write smart contracts in. We chose a platform that's completely open. Anyone can look at the code. We don't have any proprietary parts so far. We probably will never have, but I'm not 100% sure about that. The way I envision people using X42, like I said, it's not has the world's currency. I don't believe X42 is that currency, but I can see tribes of people forming around X42, using X42 as a central point, a meeting point via chat apps, a social network point via our reputation system, and actually coordinating and using X42 as their main currency or second currency. I've seen people, actually, I've seen this already. In Nigeria, people using X42 to pay for each other's simple jobs. You know, I want you to clean my house or to change a window or something like that. I've seen that. That's already happened. And the idea of having a social network behind that saves that information, and that's public to the extent that you want it to be public. Let's be completely honest about that. I don't want a network where you're going to give your entire information to everyone. I want a network where you can put, you're a great programmer, you program in C# and you have proven works. You can post that you are selling such and such software, and you don't tell your age, you don't tell your gender, you don't tell anyone you're from. You just put up a smart contract. Anyone who takes it, you know?
Talking about the future, man.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't have a lot. There's not a whole lot I can say for that, except that I wish you the best, man. There's a lot of hard questions that I could ask you, but I threw and I probably will before the end of the night. But I think one of the hardest questions that I've always had and that I try to hit people with is, just that main one coming back, like, okay, cool. Your proof of stake. What's different between you and Ethereum? Well, we don't suck. Okay, cool. If you don't mind me, I'll just kind of broadly sum up. Oh, by the way, Roy Malka and Jody W, thanks so much for the subs on YouTube. Hey, Gabe and all the viewers, it is actually 12 minutes past break time. So Gabe, are you cool with like holding on for a couple minutes? I got to go grab a cup of coffee. Cool, man. All right, we'll be right back in a couple minutes, guys. If you guys have some additional questions for Gabe, man, he's talking about some fascinating stuff here for me. So, and again, I'm not a programmer, so my main question, again, for me, my main resistance comes from, I'm definitely in your corner. We're all in this together, and I totally want the world to be a better place. But if you've got some hard questions for this guy or some questions for him moving forward, please drop them in the chat because, I threw the proof of stake thing at him and he came back swinging. So we'll see what else we can throw at him. Give me a sec, guys. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. While you're waiting, if you guys want to help us out, obviously all the links for X42 are down below. Check out their Discord, check out their Twitter, retweet the tweet that we just tweeted out between X42 and @KrakenCrypto if you want to bring people into this live stream or just bring their attention to this. Otherwise, if you want to check out x42.tech, you can download their wallet, check them out. You can see all the exchanges that they're viewed at. The other thing that you can do, which is just for us, Gabe, maybe you should check this out as well, is if you guys go over to topg.krakencryptocurrency.com, you don't have to create an account. You don't got to log in. This is just a Discord server ranking. Just for fun, honestly, we're rank 15 on here after we kind of got people helping us out. But if you want to go over to topg.krakencryptocurrency.com, give us an upvote. We'd highly appreciate it, man. Just kicks us up the rankings, helps people learn about the information that we're trying to put out there. So that's what I got for now, guys. We're going to take a brief break. We'll just be back in a couple minutes. Thanks for holding on there. All right, guys, thank you so much for bearing in there with me. Of course, I did go grab some coffee, drinking out of the Kraken Cryptocurrency HODL mug. Now, again, I have been told by our scientists on staff that drinking out of the Kraken Cryptocurrency HODL mug will improve the efficacy of your trading by about 80% and your personal attractiveness by about 90%. But I don't know. It looks like Gabe's been drinking out of the CC HODL mug there himself, man. Anyways, thanks for anybody who went to Top G and gave us the upvote, man. We highly appreciate that. All right, let's, okay, so back to hard questions, man. We ask the hard-hitting questions here at Kraken Cryptocurrency. So, Gabe, when you ICO'd, What was your initial coin offering cost?
We didn't.
Wait, hold on. I've got something wrong in my notes here. No ICO. Okay.
No ICO.
No ICO. Why? Don't you know you can make like millions doing that?
Yeah, and that's not the point.
Okay. Hopefully you guys are taking notes. Ian Bellina, Supo Man, I hope you're watching this channel. We're on to you.
We actually gave away a lot of currency for free via airdrops, via giveaways, via bounties for some work. We actually still have one airdrop going right now on Bitcoin Talk. Anyone that is interested can actually join our Discord and ask information about it, or just head to Bitcoin Talk's X42 post. So, yeah.
Yeah, we did. Again, you guys were generous enough to do the Masternode giveaway, man, and we were really thankful for you for doing that. For supporting our channel, for supporting our content. You want to do again? This is totally up to you, man. You want to do something fun and give? We got 400. We got about 500 people watching, man. So give something back to the community. You want to do a little giveaway for anybody that drops a comment after the show's over?
Yeah, definitely. Over the next 24 hours, anyone who drops their X42 wallet in the comment section and add some information about what they would like to see best in X42 in the DApp side of things. So just put your wallet in there and tell us what you would like to see when it comes to DApps, and we'll send you some X42 for free.
Cool, man. Let me write that out in the chat just in case anybody over the next 24 hours, anyone who leaves their X42 address with a suggestion for what kind of DApps they would like to see on the network will get a... How much did you say, brother?
I'd say 50.
All right, 50 X42 airdrop. You heard it here live, folks. Thank you so much, man. Very generous, man. We appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
And again, that's, yes, Andrew Adams, you can be a winner. Anybody. I think he did say anybody that leaves a comment, man. Sweet
yes,
deal.
Anybody.
East Coast, West Coast, it don't matter, man. We're all in this together.
We definitely are. But some people don't get that, unfortunately.
Feel you, man. All right. Let's go back to the live scene here. Again, just commenting here, guys. Bitcoin putting in some nice volatile price action here. About 40 minutes till the daily candle close. So we'll comment on this in just a little bit. Okay, so let's see here. Trying to think. Okay, so okay, we talked about X42. We've talked about who you are. We've talked about what you guys are doing in the future, what you guys are doing now. If you don't mind, let's go to the tinfoil hat section and kind of talk about, if you don't mind, what do you think is going on with crypto in general right now?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Obviously, we had a pretty, kind of like I tried to liken it. People are like, I don't understand, man. Like, people who don't understand cryptocurrency. I was telling them like, yeah, Bitcoin broke resistance, and they're like, oh, well, isn't it? They're like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh, that means it moved like $1,000 in like 20 minutes. And it was pretty critical. They're like, well, but it's volatile anyways. Like, what does that matter? I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is kind of like this would kind of be like if the Dolphins won the Super Bowl again. Like this is it's kind of one of those once in a rare kind of deal type of things. Kind of make sure that you've been accumulating BTC kind of deals. So do you have any thoughts, comments, questions?
Okay, if I had to guess, okay, I've been working with cryptocurrency since 2010, since, like I told you guys before. Something really interesting happened in 2007, 2008. I'm sure you remember. Basically, the entire world economy crashed and burned. What happened, I believe it was a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, is that the bond yield for the US Treasury inverted. first time since 2007. So the long-term bonds are actually paying less than the short-term bonds.
Yep. The inverse yield curve. Yep.
Yeah, that might have something to do with it. That might have something to do with it, in my opinion, because I don't believe it's necessarily crypto related. I believe it's world economy related. Everybody knows there's a big crash coming, but nobody knows when. So maybe in preparation for that? I'm not sure. What do you think, Justin?
Well, here's the thing, man. We've been charting the Dow Jones, and we haven't really been charting the Dow Jones, but very frequently on the stream, but we have charted the S&P 500 just about every day. And both are correlated, and there's a couple of world economic things that are really on my radar. That's obviously Brexit. I think that Brexit will have a negative effect on the world economy, even though I think that it's probably a good thing for Great Britain. But again, that's just my personal opinion. It could be terrible for Great Britain. I don't know. I'm an American, so I can already sit here safely over in a country that's absolutely insane. And people are like, well, you shouldn't comment on the politics of other countries. Yes, I can. I live in America. Like, our country, politically is absolutely insane. Nothing makes sense over here. But yeah, here's the thing. I try to be realistic, because you've got the gloom and doomers that are saying, we're going to have the world's worst crash that's ever going to happen. It's just going to completely wipe everything out. And then you've got the, kind of the moon boy Milroys, the stock market, who are like, we're not going to crash. We're just going to continue to go higher. And we had a pretty significant, I guess the main argument in individuals, this is coming from individuals like Andreas Antonopoulos and other people that I trust and respect, that do try to look at these more larger global macroeconomic trends, which I do as well. But the thing is, take Peter Schiff, for example. He's been calling for the collapse of the global stock market, of the global economy for the last 30 years, ever since I've been listening to his, ever since I've been listening to him. And I love Peter Schiff, and I think he's definitely right. And I'm glad that I invested in gold. I'm glad that I began trading and learning about alternative investments. I'm glad that I got into cryptocurrency, and I've been hardcore into cryptocurrency for going on almost 3 years now. But it's just, it would behoove me to say that I know for sure that the economy is going to crash, because that's what a lot of people back in 2008, 2009 thought, that we would never recover. And to be honest, we recovered very, very quickly. Now, that recovery, it's a recovery on paper, right? Because you look at the economy, it seems to be doing well. But if you actually look down, you could make a pretty convincing argument that, well, 401ks got wiped out and pensions got wiped out, and a lot of people, mostly middle-class individuals, lost a lot of money very quickly. Now, I'm not a left-leaning person. I'm very I'm very pro-capitalism. If you were to classify me or throw me into a shoebox, I'm sure you'd find my sympathies lean more to the right than to the left. But that's not to say that the reason that I started trading in the first place, the reason that I became interested in investment and trading and finance in the first place, was because I realized that, well, it seems like the smartest, most wealthiest, most successful people in the world focus on investment and finance. And that's something that we're not taught in public school, which I went to public school. Maybe there's a connection. It seems like the wealthiest, smartest people don't hang out or talk on Facebook a whole lot. Maybe there's a connection here, right? Where it seems like the majority of middle class and lower class individuals really make a big hoot and spend a lot of time on social media and, talking about Kim Kardashian and things of this nature. So I just, I kind of made a big effort to not focus on any of that stuff for myself. We've got about 32 minutes till the daily candle closes here on Bitcoin, by the way, guys. I just want to keep everybody's mind and eyes on the prize. Looking, and one thing that I will point out, so sorry, it's kind of like crossing back and forth. We are looking to close the daily above that exponential moving average that's kind of been on everybody's mind. We've got the 377, and the 886 exponential moving averages, which again, you're never ever gonna hear me say that this one indicator is the beautiful indicator. Above this price, we're bullish. Below this price, we're bearish. But I will say that I'm very, very happy. Here's I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but let me get to my point as far as Bitcoin goes, and we can talk about the global economy perhaps when we pick up on this. As far as Bitcoin goes, Bitcoin broke resistance. We broke the long-term resistance that we've been looking to break for a long time. That's the 3-day Tenkan as well. It's also the weekly level. I don't think that we're out of the bear market. This is typically not how bear markets end. If you go back to, if you just look at Bitcoin's history, typically any bear market, and this has been the longest bear market that Bitcoin's ever suffered, to think that we're just going to break out of it so quickly, I'm pretty speculative about that. Now, again, I say that while sitting in spot Bitcoin. You know, I've been sitting in spot Bitcoin since actually on Saturday, because the pump occurred on a Sunday when we really did break that resistance. And although I had a leveraged short position, I lost about 1.5% of my account on that trade. The overall, the gains from sitting in spot BTC, all my altcoins stopping out in profit and just having my bags be pumped by Bitmain, or, you know, the individual retail buyers that think that's, you know, they're ruling on the SEC. I will say that I don't think that it has anything to do with the SEC's ruling that ICOs are going to be treated basically with kid gloves. Anybody that's trying to play by the rules, and anybody that did basically do a token offering but is not attempting to act as security is basically going to be handled with kitty gloves by the SEC. That's been common knowledge for a while. And here's the thing. This is why I don't look at fundamentals as far as trading, or to explain why price occurred. You know, I was just looking to trade against the range. That's been my trading strategy since we've been here. Bitcoin was ranging between 3,000 and 4,000. You know, anybody, and this is an important thing to talk about that I don't think we do talk about a lot on the show, is that I'm really careful and I'm really dismissive of anybody who does Captain Hindsight stuff, because when price was, so right here, if I'm looking at the chart, so like right here on this day and time, right, there were good bearish and good bullish arguments, right? Because you could have made the bearish argument that, well, we're trading in an ascending wedge, we're trading in an ascending channel, we're retesting resistance. Look at volume dropping off, look at the longs going down, you know, look at shorts rising up. You know, there were a lot of bearish arguments, just like every other time Bitcoin got rejected from the $4,200 level. And it's only in hindsight, you know, this is kind of my problem with like Fibonacci levels and trend lines in general, is because, you know, price will disrespect trend lines and Fibonacci levels and any other kind of, you know, line you want to draw on a chart a bunch of times, and nobody will say anything about it. But the one time that price perfectly bounces or perfectly like breaks through a level, crypto Twitter is going to be there to tell you, make sure that you knew about it, and make sure that you know that you were an absolute idiot if you weren't on the right side of the trade. Like, and it's just, you know, it's not frustrating to me. It's just something that I want people to be aware of. And it's kind of the same thing when we're talking about those global economic scales as well, and those global macroeconomic trends. You know, there are always cases to be made bullish and bearish, you know, and price always, you know, there's reversion to the mean, but then there's sometimes that price does not revert to the mean. There's chaos theory. There's lots of individual things. And that's why I think the most important tool in trading is humility, and overall having an if this then that strategy that allows you to lock in yearly profits on your equity curve. If you want to be a trader, and this is what I try to promote and produce and teach people how to do on this channel and in the premium group as well, I teach people how to create an if this then that strategy. I teach people how to create a fundamental strategy that they can always fall back on, and that is not subjective, that is completely objective. Same with, you know, entry and exit systems, same with stop and target systems, so that they always are going to have something that they can fall back on. Then when they're comfortable in that strategy, they can improvise a little bit, look at things like sentiment, look at things like price action. But if you don't have that underlying strategy, and anybody, that whole Captain Hindsight stuff, it doesn't make anybody a better trader. And anybody who posts Captain Hindsight stuff on Twitter, because I'll never, you won't hear me come on the show and be like, well, clearly, I mean, it was quite, I mean, you should have been in a long, period. I mean, that's stupid to say, man. It's the dumbest thing in the world to say. Price broke resistance. There was a beautiful zone of liquidity around the $4,300 level where price just bam, you know, price just gapped through very quickly. It slow rose to 4,300, and then it just took off like a rocket. Why? Because it trapped longs, or excuse me, it trapped shorts, liquidated those shorts, and then that price potential was able to push price higher. And then the irrational exuberance of individuals that were piling in and market buying was able to continue price moving up. And we're seeing that move up as high as well. I don't think that we break $6,000 resistance now. My chart hasn't changed for quite a while. So I do have the area 54.56 to 57.43 looking at the BitMEX chart, which is the last area that I would look to take profits on any leveraged long position. And then I would be looking at that area between 57.44 and 61.50 to be looking to enter into a short, waiting for a bearish reaction, but being hesitant. Now, of course, you can hold your position open, but I think that the negative reaction, the pushback will be pretty violent. And I do think that we will end up trading back in the $3,000 to $4,000 ranges, and then that will be the end of the bear market. But that's just my opinion. I will, of course, always trade technicals. So comments are off while it's live. Yes. Yeah, you do have to wait for the end of the video. Go ahead, Gabe. I'm sorry, man. I just rattled on there for like 15 minutes, dude.
It's actually really interesting. It's a different perspective for sure. I'm not a trade analysis in that, but I do have interest in the whole state of world economy, and especially cryptocurrency economy in general. I have a question for you, Justin. Actually, what's the next resistance point in Bitcoin right now?
So for me, again, looking at the BitMEX chart, as far as a significant level of resistance, it'd be 57.43. That would be, and I have it on my chart as weak resistance. The most critical, and it depends on whether you want to look at the Tether chart or the BitMEX chart, but the level that I don't think that we break through, and that to me represents the ceiling, which was previously the floor, is going to be 61.50. That's the level that in my eyes, if we do break through that and pull back and reclaim it convincingly and consolidate at that higher level, everything that I just said prior to that doesn't apply. The bear market is over, because Bitcoin closing above 6,000, 61.50 on BitMEX, that's going to signal to any investor sitting on the sidelines that, hey, that aberration below 6,000, that's over, and we're back into the bullish control zone of the market, essentially, which is anything above 6,000. So to me, 61.50, but just to be a little bit more nuanced for me, between the areas of 54.56 and 57.43, and actually I'm going to have to look at the Coinbase chart, but you can do the extrapolation yourself because they're pretty much the same numbers. Between that area is where I'm going to be looking to take profits on the majority of my long position, or excuse me, not my long position. I'm actually not in a leveraged long position, but I am sitting in Bitcoin. I'm not in any Tether. I'm not in any USD as far as my accounts go. It's all crypto at this point in time because of the USDT dominance dropping. And as long as that dominance continues to drop, I will remain in cryptocurrency. When I see that Tether dominance start to rise, and when I see that crypto market cap start to, then I look to move back into USDT. So between 54.56 and 57.43, those are the areas that I'll be scaling out of my spot positions in Bitcoin. And between the areas of 57.43 and 57.44 and 61.50, that's where I'll be looking to enter into a large short position on BitMEX.
Okay, that's a much better answer than mine, actually.
Thank you. But go ahead. Hit us.
Well, I tend to look on things from a macroeconomic perspective. I'm not a micro guy by any means. What you said about 2007 and 2008, that we recovered quite quickly, I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe we recovered at all, to be honest. I believe that 2008 was the warning, not a shot across the bow. In the next, I would say, and I'm pulling numbers off of my hat here, but I believe in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see cryptocurrency being adopted because of that, because of 2008, the ripples that might happen in the world as a whole. But to be honest, I would like to see another coin take the top one spot instead of Bitcoin when that happens.
And any reasons why, or?
Well, like I said, X42 is not meant to be the next Bitcoin, but just to use that as an example, X42's technology is much superior to Bitcoin. And we are a very small project. There are many, many, many projects out there who could easily take the top one spot. and I don't believe Bitcoin is the best alternative to be the world's currency in general. That's my opinion nowadays.
Sure.
It might change. It might change.
So you're talking about are you saying like theoretically in the future when cryptocurrency has achieved mass adoption and fiat is a thing of the past, then you would want to see something besides Bitcoin attain that all-time or the number one slot?
Yeah, I would like to see something else. Something that's actually scalable, not according to debt, but according to credit. To how much? Sorry, not credit, but how much we actually have in the wealth side of things. How much the world can actually produce, not credit itself. Like think of it as an honest currency. I'd like to think of it like that.
So
maybe gold.
Gold. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no problem. Maybe gold-based, maybe oil-based. I don't know. I never heard of any cryptocurrency that successfully pegged a real world asset to a cryptocurrency, but I would like to see that. I would honestly like to see that.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and disagree with you on that one.
Of course.
And the only reason why is because I think that if Bitcoin is okay, so let me answer that with a question. So yes, it's going to be ZERP, Crypto Meister. Do you think that Bitcoin is necessary to get us from here to there, or something like Bitcoin? Okay.
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
So it would be my fundamental opinion that human evolution is an extremely slow process, whereas social evolution can happen very quickly. But social evolution can just fall off the horse like that, and we revert back to whatever level human is at psychologically and physically in their evolutionary stage. And right now, human beings are still in that kind of psychological, physical, evolutionary stage where we want to bash things in with a rock. There's nothing really holding us back from Genghis Khan days. We haven't really, the human brain hasn't developed a whole lot since that time. And I think that that's a process that takes a long time. We can see gross leaps and bounds now with things like coming out like nanotechnology or evolutionary technology or stem cell research and things of that nature. But I digress. That's not really the point. My point is that without something like that, assuming that we don't have that, where like people have had where there's been dramatic improvements to human evolution through technology, assuming that when we get to a state where something like Bitcoin has decentralized authority, where we do live in a more, anarcho-capitalist free society where liberty is the most important thing, where individuals are able to engage without the threat of violence with anybody around them, that people are able to engage in free trade, people are able to do what they want as long as it doesn't harm another person, and that overall we just live in a much better society. I disagree with the argument that once we get there, we won't need what put us there. Because I think Bitcoin is that technology, is that currency that can facilitate freedom. And I don't think that once we've attained that freedom, there will be really at any point in time until we don't need a currency at all, that we'd be able to just be like, oh, we're good now. We can get rid of this thing that, kind of forces us to be honest on the blockchain, forces us not to be able to manipulate another person, forces us not to be able to use the threat of violence because there's no centralized authority to control the world currency. Without that kind of big boost, I think, from genetics or technology, I think that human beings would still need whatever brought them out of the darkness and into the light. I think that human beings would still need that technology for a long time. And by the time we don't need it anymore, we probably won't need anything. It would just be X42. It'd just be supercomputer, and we'd be plugged right into the supercomputer.
No, I don't believe Bitcoin is going to disappear. I'm just thinking it from the macroeconomic point of view. I don't think Bitcoin is scalable enough. That's why I would like to see another currency in Bitcoin's place. I have the utmost respect for Bitcoin. it brought me to where I was 10 years from now to here. And I'm really, really thankful for that. And I agree with you. I don't believe Bitcoin is going to disappear, but I would like to see other currency in the top spot instead of Bitcoin.
Cool, man. I can jive with it.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on a second. I just got a comment on this. Cryptomeister asks S&P new all-time high. Let's double check. I don't want to say anything and be dumb. No. S&P 500 not at a new all-time high, man. Let's see here. Getting back over to the main chat. Wow, no lag on the chat. Yeah, we did a lot of improvements, man. Hey, Mr. J Way, man, I'm going to need you to be a little bit more respectful in the chat, or I am going to kick you, man. You know, again, you're free to come in here on your comments and kind of shill whoever you want, but again, if you're gonna come out there like that, man, I'm not gonna take the time to respond to your comment because you're kind of being a jerk, man. Anyways, bro. Meant soon. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think probably going on at this rate, I think we will crack that new all-time high on the S&P 500. Probably the same with the DJI, but
a good question for you, Justin. What's going to be the new ATH?
I'm sorry. What'd you say, bro?
What's going to be the new Bitcoin all-time high, in your opinion?
So the number that I'm comfortable with saying, because again, this is another thing where I could go on this long soliloquy rant where I'm like, oh, it's useless to make these predictions because, again, you have the law of diminishing returns, for example, but I don't think that necessarily applies to Bitcoin because that law has always been applied in the financial sector to assets that weren't trying to fundamentally be global currency, which Bitcoin is attempting to be, is to be the global currency. But the number that I'm pretty comfortable with is about $250,000. I've seen a lot of analysis. I'm okay with that. Do I put a lot of weight or stock into that? No, because it's going to go as high as it's going to go, and it's going to go as low as it's going to go. Ultimately in the end, I think is the right attitude to have. But yeah, if somebody wanted to tie me down, if somebody wanted to tie me down to a number, man, I'd say I'm pretty comfortable with that $250,000 mark. I think that makes a lot of sense. But again, 55,000 seems a little bit more realistic. I've seen that as well. That's not the focus of my TA. I don't. You'll see charts out there, and again, I'm not downgrading any of them, man. I don't want to be talking smack about them. Don't take this the wrong way. But I just find that like long term analysis like that, I don't find that it's fun to look at. It's fun to talk about, but it doesn't really help you make good predictions because any chart that you're going to see that attempts to predict Bitcoin's future price, then there's no point in trading because you would just say don't trade, just buy and hold. And unfortunately, that hasn't worked very well for a lot of people that have done it over the last, I would say, year or the last 2 years, or the people that got into crypto in 2017. A lot of them bought in 2017. They watched it go all the way up. They refused to take profits on the way up because, when they were unable to divorce their philosophy about Bitcoin from their bottom line monetary policy, I would say, or just their money management or risk management skills. Because believing in Bitcoin and buying a Bitcoin to hodl until 2021 or 2029, that's one thing. But investing a ton of money into cryptocurrency and watching it be able to really transform your family's or just your personal financial freedom, and then not taking any profit because you were greedy. I mean, because that's all it is, man. Like people that could have made 6 figures or 7 figures and didn't from cryptocurrency when Bitcoin ran up to like 17, 18, 19,000. You had a couple days to take that profit, man. You had the time to take the profit at 12,000 or any way on the way up. Just scale your profits out. At some point, take 50%. And I say this all the time. At some point, take 50% of your position off the table. Move your stop loss to break even, and then if you want, you can let the rest ride as much as you want. Because once you've done that, and that's with investments, that's with trading, that's with anything. Because once you've done that, you are immediately unable to lose money. right? And everything from then on is just a gain. You're not arguing about how much money you're going to lose. You're just arguing about how much money you're going to make. When most people in trading, the overwhelming 90 to 99% of traders argue with their spouse over how much money they've lost and not how much money they're going to make. Unfortunately, and that's true of pretty much all investing and all trading if you are a retail individual. So again, I make videos and I try to speak to the 99% of individuals. So when I say negative things about things like Fibonacci, or when I say negative things about other indicators that I don't really like that well, although they can work sometimes. And again, I regularly talk poorly about the stochastic, but I have a video about the stochastic. Because there are going to be a small subset of any population that's going to be able to take a tool and be able to use it very well, or be able to use an investment strategy or trading strategy and be able to use it very well. The majority of people aren't, for the reasons that I highlight when I do talk about these topics and subjects. So that's a pretty big divergence away from the BTC thing, but yeah, let's say 250,000, man. I like that number. What about you? What's your long-term price prediction, man?
Actually, my question was not the all-time high forever. It was meant I meant to ask you what's going to be, in your opinion, the all-time high before the next bear market. That's what I meant. But in my opinion, well, I'm not a trade analyst.
Sure.
But I don't know, maybe 50,000, maybe.
That makes sense. 50 to 55,000.
Yeah. I'm looking at what you're doing, man. That's impressive. That's a lot of work, a lot of knowledge right there.
It's hey, when it works really well, man.
Yeah. What about when it doesn't work?
Well, that's the point of money management, man. I mean, and really, that's the truth, man. Like we talked. Let's go throw Ichimoku on, because this is what I use to do a lot of scalping. And we talked about. Let's go back over here yesterday, and I talked during yesterday's video. We were right here. We were actually like right around here. And I talked about how you could have used technical analysis to capture this movement and capture this trade, right? Which would have been a nice, would have given you about 4 to 5%. That's a very beautiful trade, especially with leverage, especially on BitMEX, which of course we are looking at the BitMEX chart. We talked about the multiple ways that you could have captured that trade, whether using the time transformation indicator, which is available to all subscribers to the premium trading group, or just using Ichimoku as well. If you had only been using Ichimoku, you would have taken several losing trades, most likely, depending on your stop and target system. But here's the point. Knowing how to properly position knowing how to properly allocate for your position size, then when you take a losing trade, it's going to be a small loss, right? You have allocated it to only be, and again, you have to remember that there is a strategy that I teach in the premium webinar series that talks about how to properly position. Make sure that, and I hope that everybody watching this and everybody that's a member should understand this, that is for swing trading. When you're day trading, you need to be using a different risk management strategy. Because typically when you're day trading, you're going for a good, profitable, volatile movement, and you are going to get stopped out a few times in the pursuit of that. But all you can do is develop a strategy and take the signals that your strategy gives you, right? So for example, right here, price closes above the Tenkan, you can take price up nicely, gave you a good profit opportunity. If you're using this, you have to use this in conjunction with some other indicator. Ichimoku will not tell you when to exit a trade. There is a strategy for Ichimoku where, you buy when price breaks the Kumo cloud, your stop loss goes below the Kijun. I'm not a proponent of that strategy, because you basically, for the same reason why, buying when moving averages cross over and then selling when they cross under, it's a terrible strategy, because you always miss out on so much profit. You need an exit indicator that is faster, that will actually be able to respond to the market turning over. That's why I use time transformation. Time transformation for day trading in conjunction with the Ichimoku cloud is a fantastic set of indicators, because TT will tell you when to sell. It will typically tell you when to buy, but you can ignore TT signals if you just want to use Ichimoku for your entry strategy and your risk management strategy as well, which does work well in day trading. So anyways, we talked about how you could have captured this trade using Ichimoku or time transformation, because this is one of those situations where TT did call the bottom and the top beautifully. And yeah, you would have had to take maybe 1 or 2 losses on the way there, but those losses would have been small and the gain would have been fairly large. So one of those situations where, okay. Hey, Google, tell me about my reminders. All right. Thank you, Google. Let's see here, man. Thank you, Scott, for handling that, man. I apologize. Let's see. Wendy says, should I take profit on my real estate? I think this is the year to sell. Thoughts? So I think that real estate's going to take a hit. Yes. We would have to look at some different charts. We would have to kind of make a thesis about that. But again, there's always got to be a point in time when, if you've got real estate as an investment, as not like you own property or however you own it, I think owning property is a little bit different, because I think there's a lot of ways that you can use real estate to profit even when the real estate market takes a hit. For example, like renting out multiple units, especially it depends on the economic situation of where you are and who you want to rent to, for example. But I think that renting becomes a very good economic opportunity in a down market. Again, it all depends on the environment where you live in. Like slumlords make a lot of money during a bad real estate market, for example. But individuals who have high priced real estate, they're the ones who take a big hit. So yeah, I would broadly agree with you, man.
Okay.
My wife doesn't believe in me. How do I join this pyramid scheme? you go over to arbitraging.co and have fun over there, man, if you really want to hear about a pyramid scheme. I can't believe how many times I've had to talk about arbitraging.co. People think like it's something legitimate. It's not, man. It's not. It's a Ponzi scheme. Not any different. It's BitConnect 2.0, man. So anyways, man, we've got about 3 minutes left in the show. It's time to start wrapping it up, man. Any parting words for us, Gabe? Like, you want to give any shout outs or, just kind of tell people where they can find you. Again, obviously, guys, all the links to X42 are down in the description down below. As Gabriel so generously said, anybody who comments on the video, again, if you just wait till the video is done, anybody who leaves a comment within the next 24 hours will get 50 X42. Just post your wallet address and post suggestions that you have for X42 adding DApps to their platform and what you would like to see moving forward. But Gabe, if you want to give them a summary of where they can find you and anything you want to say here in the last few minutes of the show, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for having me. It was really interesting. Learned a lot. Been always learning a lot, watching your videos and everything that you do, actually, and everything that your team does. So yeah, you can find us at x42.tech. I highly advise you guys to read our white paper before anything else. It's very short, very simple language, really easy to understand. A new version of our white paper is actually coming out soon, which is going to include the new tiered masternode system and where we want to go with that. X42 is not a project about sick gains like people like to say. So if you're interested just in profit, there's a lot of projects that you can go to. We are not your home.
Bitcoin.
On the other Bitcoin. On the other hand, if you want to help, if you want to be part of something new, if you want to create something to leave to the next generation and to the next one after that, make sure to join our Discord, check our jobs postings. We actually have positions open right now for programmers, for marketing, a lot of stuff like that. We also are looking for a new moderator for our Discord, which is a paid position, paid in X42. If you want to purchase the coin, you can go to Stacks, you can go to GraviX, you can go to HotX. We're listed in several exchanges. Really easy to get X42, but you can also get X42 for free via our airdrops, via our giveaways, and doing bounties. I believe that was it. Thank you for having me.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Thank you for coming on the show, guys. If you guys have any questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions, concerns, sarcastic remarks, and or death threats, you guys can direct the death threats to DaVinci J15. You can leave all the other stuff down in the comments section down below. In the description of the video, I have left, again, like I said, all of X42's links. Our regular links are a little bit below that. So if you are new to the stream, you can see those down there. And yeah, just to summarize again, Gabe was generous enough. Anybody who leaves a comment within the next 24 hours with their X42 address, deposit address, and a suggestion for decentralized applications on X42 will get 50 X42. So again, thank you so much for that. Thank you for coming on the stream. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for tonight, man.
Just one question that I saw in the chat. People are asking about masternodes. For our tier 1 masternode, you require 1000 X42. For our tier 2, which is going to come later this year, you require 20,000, and for our tier 3, you require 100,000. Right now, I believe X42 is hovering around the 1,000 sats mark, so it's really easy to get a masternode going.
Cool, man. All right. Well, it's Sunday evening, guys. We will be back. You know, I'm going to leave you with some interesting comments here on XBTUSD. I have been scaling into a short position as we've been working out this volatility. Actually, pretty much I had all the limit orders set before the show, talking about scaling into it since last night. I had that nice run up to 52.80, did put me in some drawdown, obviously, but you typically don't see a big move like that to the upside without somewhat of an equal move to the downside. But overall, not breaking the range and just, you know, selling oversold. Or excuse me, selling overbought and buying oversold at this point in time until we see a significant breakdown of the movement. Tether dominance continues to drop. Altcoins look incredibly bullish to me. We are still in a buy the dip mode, so nothing's significantly changed. And I'm really not looking for anything super dramatic from Bitcoin, but of course we'll play it if it comes along, guys. But I could be wrong. Yeah, I only do this for a living, guys. But we'll be back here tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's actually Central Daylight Time now because I got to remember that like that. Switch over. 12 to 2 Central Daylight Time, as always, guys, Monday through Friday. And we'll be back here on the weekends, probably for another cryptocurrency next Sunday as well. So thanks again, Gabe, for joining us, guys. Thank you so much for watching us. I'm Justin Wise. I've been your host this evening. Hopefully we've helped crack cryptocurrency for you. And until next time, guys, trade safely. We'll catch you around the bend.
Bye.